If you were fixing your bra straps, fussing with wires, or battling your bra during this podcast, stop right now. You'll want to hear this. Those bra problems, those problems you thought you had to live with, Third Love has solved them. Their bras make it easy to get what you want, whether it's ultimate cleavage, a smooth look, or stopping your shirt buttons from pulling. With over 60 sizes, including half cups you won't find anywhere else, you'll never be stuck between two sizes that don't fit. So stop settling for bad bras. Now's the time to treat yourself and get your problem solved. Save $15 on your first order with code PODCAST15 at thirdlove.com.
1/3 of all murder cases in America remain open.
He had told me that if I opened my eyes, he would slit my throat.
Each one is called a cold case.
The DNA evidence taken from the victim was a match. The Linden rapist was at it again.
Based on the hit A&E television program.
A phone call is placed, one that changes a family's life forever.
Cold Case Files, the podcast.
You could see the fire in his eyes. He screamed at me, "You want it? Get your tape recorder out."
Get new episodes of Cold Case Files every Tuesday on Podcast One, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 315 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
Having a pretty good week. Looking forward to Memorial Day weekend.
Always a good time.
Always a good time. I know you're looking forward to having an extra day off, as many people are. Hey, let's go ahead and give our Patreon shout-outs. We had Up Las Vegas.
Hey, Vegas.
Michelle Stromer.
What's going on, Stromer?
Alyssa Davis.
Hey, Davis.
Brandon Van Nostren.
What's up, Brandon?
The doctor.
The doctor.
Dolores Valdez.
Hey, Dolor.
Charlie Jansen.
What's up, Charlie?
Samantha Bell jumped out at her highest level.
Bell in the house.
Amber Rogers.
What's going on, Rogers?
Cora Welsh.
Hey, Welsh.
Pittsburgh Sarah.
Hey, Sarah. Appreciate that.
Shannon Bristol.
Hey, Bristol.
Tracy Hacklock Gents.
Is it gents?
That's
Just like that.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Tony Broussard.
Hey, Tony.
Frank Kelly.
What's going on, Frank?
And last but not least, Lauren Williams.
I appreciate that, Williams.
And then if we go back into the vault, this week we selected Julie Essen.
Hey, Julie.
Yeah, thanks for all the Patreon support, the new, the continued. We have a ton out right now.
We do.
Saturday night, we dropped a new Patreon episode on Richard Lee McCoy. You know, this was a young guy who went into a liquor store, robbed it, shot a female clerk. This episode is, really about his trial. We kind of dive into how cold and calculated it was and, why did he have to shoot this woman?
Right.
He could have just walked out with the money.
Absolutely, he could have.
And then on True Crime All the Time, we have part 2 and the final part on Aaron Hernandez. And we get into a lot of, CTE talk and, continue the trial, his murder trials, all that. All right, buddy. Are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
Hey, man, I'm ready.
We're talking about the unsolved murder of Shirley Finn. On June 23rd, 1975, Shirley Finn was found dead in her car in South Perth, Western Australia. Almost 50 years later, her murder remains unsolved. Shirley June Shoering Finn was born on November 2nd, 1941 in Fremantle, Western Australia. Shirley was a prominent figure in South Perth, Western Australia, because she owned a brothel. Sources often refer to her as a brothel madam.
That could be a prominent position.
I didn't even know they had brothels in Australia.
Well, have you ever been to Australia?
I have not. And actually don't know all that much about it, to be honest with you.
There you go.
The only thing I know, and maybe what keeps me from going, is that there are a lot of things there that will kill you or can kill you.
They do. They have a lot of spiders and snakes.
Insects and things that I don't like. According to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, or ABC, people close to Shirley alleged that she paid a fee to the police to continue to run her brothel and receive protection under the containment policy in place at the time. This system allowed police to determine who could run brothels in Perth.
I don't think that's uncommon, that paid protection and look the other way fee.
No, that's happened here in the States, for a long time. In 1975, Shirley lived in a home in South Perth with her 13-year-old daughter, Bridget Shoering, and her girlfriend, Rose Black. Shirley had 3 children. She was known for her connections with famous individuals in Perth. She often hosted big parties at her home and once even hosted Elton John.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Now, if you're throwing a party and Elton John's coming,
You're somebody.
yeah. A lot of people say they got connections, but if Elton John's coming to your party, you really got connections.
Yeah.
You also might have some good music going on if you got a piano.
That's true.
Shirley was last seen alive by a neighbor outside her home at 9:40 p.m. on June 22nd, 1975. On the morning of June 23rd, 34-year-old Shirley Finn was found slumped over the wheel of her vehicle near the Royal Perth Golf Club. She was shot 4 times in the head at close range. She was found wearing a formal gown, which her neighbor had seen her in at 9:40 p.m. the night before. So we don't have a lot of information so far. We've got a sighting, and we know that she was killed in what she was wearing when she was seen by the neighbor the night before. Other than that, we don't have much to go on.
No.
So far. Detectives believed it was what they called an underworld slang. According to a 1975 article by The Age, the police recovered a bullet cartridge from the back seat of Shirley's car, but the murder weapon was never found. On July 17, 1975, the state government offered a $20,000 reward for information leading to the arrest or conviction of the killer.
For 1975, not bad money.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's something you and I have discovered over the years. A lot of places in Australia offer up quite a bit of money as reward money.
They certainly do.
Much more so than what we see here in the United States.
And like we say, why not? Why not offer it up?
Yeah, because you're only paying it out if it leads to something, concrete.
Yeah.
Let's say it leads to conviction or whatever. According to The Age, in November 1975, an inquiry into a sinister alliance between Perth brothel madams and senior police took place before the Prostitution Royal Commission. The inquiry heard that some brothels, including the one owned by Shirley Finn, were virtually immune from police action.
Well, it's got to be pretty serious there if you have a royal commission on it.
A prostitution royal commission.
Yeah.
And how can you have these brothels that are operating and not be immune from police action? Well, they would just shut them down.
Exactly.
If they knew they were brothels, right? If they're not supposed to be operating a brothel. The council assisting the royal commissioner said that Superintendent H.E. Daniels would allege that the police were told their future in the force would be jeopardized if they stepped outside their own sections of law and administration. In some cases, police officers were called to respond to disturbances at an alleged brothel and were expected to turn a blind eye because it was not their, quote, particular responsibility.
Well, I bet. And I'm imagining that alleged brothel probably paid a fee
for the officers to turn a blind eye.
Absolutely.
On June 10th, 1976, the Royal Commission into Prostitution cleared the West Australian Police Force of allegations of corruption and impropriety. So they looked into it and said, no, they weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah, you're okay.
I'm still shocked that there was a Prostitution Royal Commission.
Maybe they need to make it look good by forming this.
I'm thinking that there were a lot of these brothels operating.
Sure.
So much so that they needed to form a commission. Many years passed without any updates in Shirley's case. On June 23rd, 2005, a cold case review of Shirley's murder was announced, but the opinion was that there was likely no solution to the case. So when we say many years passed, I mean, that's 30 years, basically.
Yeah.
And now they're going to review it as a cold case, but coming out and saying, nah, we probably won't figure it out. I get it. Cold cases are tough because if they were easily solved,
they wouldn't be cold.
They wouldn't be cold. But to go into this review with the thought that, nah, we likely won't solve this case. Come on, give me a little bit of optimism.
Yeah, I'm sure her family was heavily disappointed.
Sure.
They come out 30 years later, say, yeah, we're going to look into this cold case, but we really doubt we're going to find anything.
Don't hold your breath.
To me, it sounds like we're just doing this for show. We're not going to really put a lot of resources into this.
Going through the motions.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you say things like that, that's what it gives off to people, obviously.
It's like me saying, I'll take the job. I'm going to do it half-ass.
Yeah.
But I still want paid.
Yeah, and that's basically what you did. Shirley's daughter, Bridget, who was a young teenager when her mother died, requested to have the case looked at again. Most of the theories about why Shirley was murdered revolve around a $100,000 tax bill that she couldn't pay. Rumors suggested that police officers, politicians, and brothel madams could be involved in her death.
Let's think about this. $100,000 back in 1975. That's a boatload of money. I mean, you could probably compare it to at least $1 million today.
And that's a tax bill.
Right.
So if you got a tax bill for $100,000, how much are you making or how much are you declaring?
Probably doing okay.
Shirley told friends and family that she was supposed to meet someone to discuss problems with her business on the evening she was killed, but she never said exactly who she was meeting. Shirley had also been threatening to disclose to the tax office details about bribes she was allegedly paying to the police. She was allegedly paying kickbacks to senior detectives under the police containment system.
Well, no doubt about it. She's making a lot of money, owes a lot of tax money, but on the back end of it, she probably knows a lot of information about certain high-profile people that frequent her brothel.
So that's one angle.
That's one angle.
That you definitely have to consider.
Then you have the other angle of her paying off different authorities for protection and things like that. So you're going to have a lot of people looking at her. I mean, you even have the competition. Maybe the competition is like, what do we got to do to get rid of her so we can make more money?
Yeah. Yeah. So there are a number of people, institutions that have been thrown around. I mean, this theory that she was killed by the police somehow because she was going to essentially out them for bribery, that's an interesting angle.
Sure. I mean, if you're threatening the people that protect you, that's a slippery road.
Shirley was killed just 2 days before a tax hearing. In March 2017, Shirley's former driver claimed that former police minister in Western Australia, Premier Ray O'Connor, had an affair with Shirley Finn. Driver Lee Beswick, formerly known as Harry, spoke with Australian Story and confirmed rumors that Shirley was in a relationship with O'Connor. She said, "I used to drive them up to Kings Park and take them to the Swan River. 9 times out of 10, they'd have a bottle of wine. They were having a great old time."
See, this is why I don't have a driver. They talk too much.
Yeah, and they know everywhere you go. Yeah. They know what you do. Plus, you would never pay someone.
I would never pay somebody. It's interesting, though. 2017, we're just finally getting into some background and information on the case.
Yeah, it's like 40 years.
Yeah, where's everybody been? What have they been doing?
Yeah, I don't know if people feel as though time has to pass before they start disclosing secrets. Maybe they're waiting for people to die
so they feel safe
before they want to talk about them. I don't know. Ray O'Connor was jailed in 1995 for misappropriating a $25,000 donation to the Liberal Party from the Bond Corporation. O'Connor was forced to publicly deny any link to the crime. He died in 2013. So that could be one reason why Shirley's former driver waited.
Sure.
I don't know what the slander laws are in Australia, but that might have been part of it. According to Lee, Shirley warned O'Connor of her intentions to reveal information to the tax office unless he helped her pay her tax bill.
I mean, it's pretty brazen to go after somebody in power. You got to really be careful. That stuff can backfire on you pretty quickly.
Well, you know what powerful people don't like is to be threatened.
Exactly.
You back somebody into a corner, especially someone with a lot of power. That is a scary proposition because they've got a lot of resources.
They do.
They might have a lot of money. They've got things that most people wouldn't have at their disposal to come back at you with. According to an acquaintance only listed as Jacqueline at this time, Shirley was on her way to meet an important person who could help her with her tax problem on the night of her murder. Shirley was told by a police officer to dress to impress. Jacqueline saw Shirley days before she was killed, and she said that Shirley feared for her life.
Well, if I think you're going around threatening the people that protect you, that utilize your services, yeah, you should be fearful for your life.
Again, anytime you're threatening important people or people in power, there might be a reason to be scared. In 2004, Bridget Shoering was contacted by author and journalist Juliet Wills, who was investigating the case. Juliet wrote the book Dirty Girl, the state-sanctioned murder of brothel madam Shirley Finn. She told Bridget that she believed there was an attempted cover-up by the police and that she wanted to get to the bottom of it. Wills spent the next decade talking to witnesses, one of whom was a retired police officer who claimed he saw Shirley on the night of the murder with two detectives. This detective only wanted to be referred to as Brian. Wills said that Brian first reached out to her when she emailed retired police officers to ask if they were concerned about the allegations in her book. Brian eventually agreed to meet with her and told her what he knew. Brian said that he went to senior officers to report what he saw, and the next day he was knocked off his motorcycle and told at gunpoint to keep quiet or be killed. He made a sworn statement to the Corruption and Crime Commission about the threats. His claim also stated that a detective came to his house and told him that if he wanted to see his wife and kids again, he needed to shut his mouth or he would be killed or something worse. Now, what is something worse than being killed? My thought is something happening to your family.
Absolutely. Your kids or...
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they are hinting at if this happened as he alleged it did. And it's probably not hard to figure out. He said, if you want to see your wife and kids again. Wills gave her interviews to the police. She and Bridget first sought an inquest in 2005, but were told there was insufficient evidence. After the Special Crime Squad reviewed the case in 2014 and significant new evidence was presented, an inquest was granted. On May 4th, 2017, State Coroner Roz Fagliano set the inquest date for September 11th, 2017. The CCC confirmed that it received new information and it was being assessed before they ruled on whether an inquiry into the case was warranted. The WA police media released a statement which was reported by the Herald Sun. It read, in February 2014, following a meeting with Mrs. Finn's daughter, Bridget Shoering, WA Police Special Crime Squad launched a cold case review into the 1975 murder of Shirley Finn. As a result of the review, a fresh investigation was commenced and is still underway. It became publicly known WA police were investigating this matter in November 2014. The investigation team has not received any advice or referrals from the Corruption and Crime Commission regarding any allegations by a former police officer. Further comment will not be made until the investigation is completed.
It's their way of saying, hey, we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, basically. So this retired police officer known as Brian also spoke with Bob Monmill from WA Today and named the man who, with others, he claimed killed Shirley Finn and engineered the cover-up. He alleged that Shirley was killed by a prominent officer who had the loyalty and respect of his peers and the fear of people in the underworld. The former officer told Mom Mill the night before Shirley was murdered, she, Officer X, and some detectives met in the police canteen in East Perth HQ. She was signed in as a guest. But the day after the murder, that page of the club book had been ripped out and was never seen again. The murder weapon was a rifle taken from the police lost property office. It was the only weapon of the caliber used that had not been previously tested by ballistics. This guy's really coming out and dropping a bombshell.
He is.
He is basically saying that Shirley was killed by a police officer.
Yes. One of his peers did this using a weapon that was in lockup.
When asked about an alleged motive, he said she knew a lot about the town, about the girls, the bribes. She had all the dirt. The WA cops couldn't fix a Commonwealth tax problem for her. Probably tried, but it fell apart. Then she turned nasty, unpredictable, dangerous.
Well, it's one thing that people in power don't like to see is somebody that is unpredictable and dangerous when it comes to their relationship with that person. Because you just don't know what's going to happen. They know too much about you.
Well, I was going to say, and not just any person, but a person that knows all the dirt.
Yeah.
That's a person that you really would worry about if they become unhappy. And I think that's the crux of what they're saying here. She's got this huge tax problem. She wants it fixed.
Yeah.
But they couldn't fix it. And she maybe is saying, well, if you're not going to fix it, be prepared because I'm going to start slinging the mud.
Yeah, either couldn't fix it or weren't willing to fix it.
Yeah. Now, he said probably tried but fell apart.
Yeah.
True Crime All the Time Unsolved is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up and ready to compare. So it's simple to choose the rate and coverages you like. Press play on comparing auto rates. Quote at Progressive.com to join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Angie's List is now Angie, the home to skilled neighborhood professionals. Angie is your home for everything home, and they've made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. If you own a home, you know how much work it can take, whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality. It can be hard just to know where to start, but now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Angie has over 20 years of home service experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions, and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly. And all of that means you can take care of just about any home project in just a few taps, because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com. Have you ever wondered why laundry detergent comes in those big, massive plastic jugs? They're heavy, they're awkward. You end up spilling some of it all over your washing machine. Not only that, but they end up in landfills and oceans, harming our planet and marine life. Well, there's a better way. Do what I did. Switch to Earth Breeze. My new Earth Breeze laundry detergent Echo Sheets look like dryer sheets, but in reality, they are a revolutionary liquidless laundry detergent. They offer flexible subscriptions that can be adjusted, paused, or canceled at any time, and there's no contracts or fees. Best of all, they're delivered right to your door via free carbon-neutral shipping at a frequency that you set, so it works for you and your lifestyle. Most importantly, though, you still get a very powerful clean. You have to try them to see how good they really are. Don't just take my word for it. You can try for yourself with their risk-free 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like it, EarthBreeze will give you a full refund, no questions asked, and no return necessary. Switch from the old-fashioned goo to something new. Right now, our listeners can subscribe to EarthBreeze and save 40%. Go to earthbreeze.com/TCAT to get started. That's earthbreeze.com/TCAT for 40% off. earthbreeze.com/TCAT. This inquest into Shirley Finn's death opened on August 28, 2017, with claims that a hitman from Sydney named Arthur Nettie Smith was paid $5,000 to fly to Perth and kill Shirley on behalf of her business partners. Smith was convicted of 2 murders and was serving life sentences. The coroner's court received details about the alleged hit from former detective James Boland. In 1975, Boland arrested a man named Harold Bryan Stevens for writing bad checks. Stevens' boyfriend, Keith Lewis, approached him and asked for a deal for Stevens in exchange for information about the Shirley Finn case. Lewis told Boland that Arthur Smith flew to Perth for a meeting with Shirley and an unnamed police officer on the night of the murder.
Got a lot of names flying around here.
Yeah, obviously a lot of names. And, I want to talk about $5,000. You and I sometimes talk about, what does it take for someone to kill another human being? Sometimes it's $50.
Sure.
Now we're talking about a hitman who does this for money. $5,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a chunk of change in 1975.
Sure it is, yeah.
Now, we don't know for sure if this guy killed Shirley, but we do know that he was a murderer because he's serving life sentences for murder.
Well, we know he's capable of it.
An official police document supported Lewis's claims. The document said that Lewis was willing to give information in exchange for charges against his boyfriend being downgraded. The document was dated 2 months after the murder and showed that Boland looked into his claims by checking flight records, which confirmed that someone with Smith's name traveled to Perth that day. Okay, well, that's pretty good information.
It is. Pretty solid.
The document confirmed that another witness saw Smith drinking at a pub in Perth with Lewis several days later. Lewis told the police that Smith asked him to go into business with him running brothels in Perth, but Lewis wasn't interested. He told the police that Smith liked to sit in the back seat of cars, which was the position Shirley's killer was most likely sitting in during the murder. He also liked to use rifles, which matched the murder weapon. Detective Boland felt that Lewis's information was worth pursuing. According to the West Australian, when he presented this information to former Criminal Investigation Bureau boss Don Hancock, he was told to sit on it for a couple of days. Hancock later told him to tell Lewis that the police were willing to make a deal with him. Days later, Hancock told Boland to leave it alone, referring to the inquiry. Boland assumed someone else was handling it. He said he didn't know if the tip was ever followed up on by the investigative team.
Sounds like maybe as it went up the channel, somebody said, hey, leave this alone.
Because they're getting too close, getting into dangerous territory?
Yeah.
After Boland left the police force, he tried to ask investigators if anything came from Lewis's information, but no one returned his calls. Boland rejected the suggestion that Hancock tried to cover up the information about Smith. Hancock died in 2001 from a car bomb. You don't hear that very often.
No, you do not.
So, I'm taking a couple of things from this. The biggest thing is Boland saying he doesn't feel as though Hancock would have covered it up. So if somebody didn't look into it, then what? He's thinking it must have been an oversight, but the things he was told don't seem to line up with that.
Right.
Now, you could say sit on it and then leave it alone because I'm going to have somebody else look into it.
You could.
And I think that's what Bolin is kind of going off of.
Or you could take away from it that he got too close. People didn't like that.
And he wanted it dropped.
Wanted to drop, and then maybe later those individuals set something up for that car bomb.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Bolin was asked if he was aware of brothels operating as part of a containment policy. He denied any knowledge of the police accepting bribes in exchange for ignoring brothels. He was asked if he was aware of the allegation that Ray O'Connor was friends with Bernie Johnson, head of the Vice Squad, and that Shirley was going to drop them in it if they didn't help her with her taxes.
So like she was going after anybody for help with her taxes.
Well, but let's go back to Shirley Finn. She knew a lot of people.
She did.
She knew a lot of prominent people, and it sounds like she had a lot of dirt on them. So I'm thinking she probably had a plethora of people that she could have leaned on.
Of course, yeah.
And really, it just takes leaning on the wrong person for something bad to happen. And that may be what happened. I don't know. We'll talk more about it when we sum up the case. The court was told that a former colleague of Bolin's at the Partalup prison farm gave a statement in 2007 saying that he told her he killed Shirley. Bolin denied saying this. Coroner Barry King officially began proceedings on September 11th, 2017. What is that, 42 years?
42 years.
After the murder. According to ABC News, on September 13th, Bridget Shoering spoke about the statement she gave on June 23rd, 1975. She said, "This statement was likely to be the most accurate, but denied many details that were in the detective's notes from 2 days later. The notes suggested that Shirley told Bridget a man was interested in buying her business. Bridget denied saying this. She also denied suggestions that she said Shirley was the happiest she had ever seen, or that Shirley told her, 'All my troubles will be over tonight,' on the day of the murder." So what is she saying here? That, yes, she gave a statement, but they added some things?
Sounds like they did. They made it fit what they wanted to say.
But there is a theme here that's pretty constant. You know, whether Shirley said, "All my troubles will be over tonight," there's a theme that she was meeting someone who was going to solve this tax problem.
Right.
Now, is that the person who ultimately killed her? Was that a setup? Was it a ruse? I don't know. The inquest heard that former WA Police Commissioner Owen Leach threatened Shirley Finn days before she was murdered. Witness Jacqueline DeGay told the court that she overheard a conversation between her partner, bookkeeper Don Mack, and Shirley Finn 2 days before she was killed. Shirley came in with a plastic cover over her dress. Shirley told Don Mack how she talked to Owen Leach and told him she was meeting with the tax office. She warned him she was going to name people. Leach told her to keep her mouth shut. Shirley said, according to ABC News, "If I go down, so will you with your boys." Leach allegedly said to her, "Watch what you say, shut your mouth or bang." Shirley put her hand to her head to mimic a gun. Okay, that's a very odd conversation. But again, if it really went down that way, she's coming off as with a very threatening tone.
She is. If it went down that way.
If it went down that way. You know, I'm going to name names. I'm going to take you down with me. We've heard kind of different variations of this same thing, but it's threats to out people.
Yeah, it's like the third or fourth person that she's made that threat to that seems to be in a prominent position. Eventually, you're going to make a threat to somebody that potentially will act on it, and I think that's what happened.
Jacqueline also said that Shirley was expecting to meet important men and was told to dress to impress. Again, we've heard that twice. The dress Shirley was holding was the one she was wearing when she was found dead. Leach died in 2002. Jacqueline didn't talk for so many years because she was afraid. She only came forward when her son told her about journalist Juliet Wills. Now, again, we don't know if everybody is telling the truth.
That's correct.
We never know that.
We don't.
But if Jacqueline is, you can see why so many years would go by for her without really wanting to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Because she believes that Shirley was killed for talking. She doesn't want to end up in the same situation. And I don't blame her. Witness Steve Coolcod told the inquest that he saw an officer get into Shirley's car on the morning of June 23rd. He later concluded that he saw Detective Sergeant Don Hancock, chief of the Criminal Investigation Bureau. He said he saw the cars on the night of June 21st, 1975, but then said it was possible he got the dates wrong. Well, it's possible because he's at this inquest 42 years later.
Exactly. I'd be surprised if anybody can remember anything.
It's a wonder he got the year right. Witness John Mern said that he was driving with his family around 6 a.m. on June 23rd when he saw Shirley's Dodge with the front doors open in the rain. He saw a small green vehicle parked next to it. He did not see inside the vehicles. So, I mean, there's obviously information that's coming out at this inquest. Some of it seems damning.
It does.
Right? This one guy is saying he believes he saw Don Hancock. I don't know what John Mearns is saying other than there was a car parked next to what he thought was Shirley's Dodge, but he didn't see anything nefarious or he didn't see any specific person. According to the Brisbane Times, witness Ray Gardner claimed that he saw two police officers shoot Shirley twice in the head while she slept in her car, and a shot was fired at his taxi. He said it was a beautiful fine day, but it was actually raining. He also claimed that the shooter was Ray O'Connor. He claimed that a few moments later, he saw a police officer robbing the tax office. Ray Gardner then said bullshit as he finished speaking and left the court. So I don't know what to make of that because obviously you've got some details wrong. You're also saying that you saw police officers shoot this woman and then they took a shot at you, but didn't come after you or anything like that.
It's definitely clouding what's going on here, right? It just seems like there's a lot of finger pointing of what happened that night.
Yeah, but I also think it's interesting that these people are naming specific people, right? The one guy named Don Hancock. This guy named Ray O'Connor. Why? Because they knew who they were. They knew they were suspected years ago.
Maybe.
I really don't know. And why say bullshit when you're leaving court? What's that mean?
Had enough? Bullshit.
or disregard everything I said.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit. On November 20th, 2017, Dennis McCrone, officer in charge at South Perth Police Station, said in the coroner's court that a .22 casing was found in Shirley's car, but searches around the vehicle failed to locate any more. So that's interesting because we know there was more than one shot fired. So did somebody pick up the rest of the casings, miss one, count incorrectly?
And was that the casing even used in her murder?
Yes, we don't know. Was it left there on purpose?
Right.
In November, witness Lee Varys Beswick, Shirley's former driver, and a former madam who became a city councilor, said she was told by former detective Tony Lewandowski that CIB chief Don Hancock killed Shirley Finn. She was told this after Hancock died. Lewandowski called her in 2004. He refused to tell her his name on the phone because he thought the line was bugged. According to ABC, he told her, "The person who shot Shirley Finn is now dead. The Silver Fox is dead." Silver Fox was Hancock's nickname. Lewandowski said he was the driver while Hancock killed Shirley. So I think the other thing you have with this 42-year gap is a lot of people over the years coming out and saying things about certain individuals after they've died. They can't defend themselves, obviously.
So are they an easy scapegoat because they're no longer able to defend themselves? So as a group, you say, let's start putting the blame on this person.
Because they're not around anymore.
Yeah, take the heat off of all of us.
Lewandowski ended his life in 2004 after he was implicated in the Perth Mint Gold swindle. Witness Max Healy testified that he saw Shirley slap Bernie Johnson, head of the Vice Squad, in the face 2 weeks before the murder at a club in Perth. Healy also said that Johnson was at the Pagoda Ballroom the night before the murder near where Shirley's body was found. When he made a joke that Johnson killed Shirley, Johnson beat him within an inch of his life, according to ABC. He also said that he was later told that an internal police investigation found that Johnson stole the rifle used to kill Shirley from police custody. Earlier in the week, Brian, now identified as Brian Eddy, testified about what he saw on the night of the murder and the threats he received. Witness Ron William Brown, a businessman, confirmed that Bernie Johnson went on a 2.5-month yachting trip with him after Shirley's murder, but denied that Johnson threw the murder weapon into the ocean. The court heard that after Brown got back from the trip, he told a former partner that Johnson threw the gun into the ocean, but Brown said that this was a lie from someone who was his enemy. The one thing I will say is that everyone is getting thrown under the bus.
They really are.
There is someone trying to pin Shirley Finn's murder on someone else and some prominent police person. Well, we've had 3 or 4 of them be named as the killer by someone.
If anything, they're doing a good job of
creating confusion.
Yeah.
And maybe that is orchestrated. Maybe that is just people with vendettas, even that many years later trying to smear somebody's name. I really don't know. This case is baffling to me. According to WA Today, former racehorse trainer Bob Myers testified on November 27, 2017, that his friend Colin Pace, head of the fraud squad, told him Bernie Johnson shot Shirley with a gun stolen from the police armory. He claimed that no one gave him direct information, but 90% of the police force knew Shirley was killed by Bernie Johnson. So we had Hancock being named, O'Connor being named, and this Bernie guy has been named by multiple people.
Yeah.
Shirley's former girlfriend, Rose Black, testified on November 29th via video. She said that Shirley was stressed around the time of her death and was dealing with the tax bill. On June 22nd, Shirley said she was going to meet the Bear, who brought someone from Sydney to fix her tax problems. Shirley was afraid, and she broke down in tears. Witness Robert Myers previously told the court that Bernie Johnson was once known as BJ the Bear.
Was that a TV series back in the...
I think it was was it BJ and the Bear?
Maybe, yeah. It was. It was like a trucker,
He was a trucker, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the bear part, but...
Yeah, BJ and the Bear.
Rose offered to hide in the trunk of Shirley's car so that she could be there for her, but Shirley said that was impossible because the trunk was full with 2 garbage bags of money that the Bear asked her to look after.
Don't you hate when you have all that garbage bags full of money
I
in
know.
the trunk?
People are always asking me to look over their garbage bags of money.
Yeah.
2 witnesses, Edward and Elaine Mosley, told the inquest earlier that they saw a woman with shoulder-length blonde hair at the golf course, which matched Rose's description, but she denied being at the scene. The court heard that some of Rose's clothes were examined and found to have type O bloodstains on them. She and Shirley had the same blood type. Rose couldn't explain where the blood came from. She said that on the night of the murder, she was at a friend's place. Shirley said she would pick her up, but she never heard from her.
So it just adds a little mystery to it, right? Someone thought she was nearby the scene. She actually has some blood on her that she can't account for. But again, she has the same blood type, so...
Could be her blood.
Exactly.
It's just another person that it seems as though they're trying to throw into the mix. On December 13th, former officer Chris Ferris testified that senior detective Arthur Sims allegedly confessed to shooting Shirley. He testified that Sims made the confession at a regular social gathering of officers at the Pinjarra station after Sims became officer in charge. He said he didn't say anything to his superiors because he feared repercussions.
So now we have somebody else being tossed in the mix.
Well, and this one seems so strange. He's at a regular social gathering and is just going to make this confession to everyone.
Right.
That seems strange to me.
I know it's been a while, guys, but I want to come out and say that it was me back in 1975 that did that.
As we know, the world of finance has long been a target for criminals looking to make a quick buck. Protect your financial future and your privacy with something real and tangible, gold and silver, from my friends at Allegiance Gold. Allegiance Gold can help protect your IRA or 401k with physical gold and silver, or if you prefer, have it delivered securely right to your door. Since the beginning of time, there is only one universal currency that is always of value, and that's gold. Allegiance Gold has the highest ratings in the industry. 5 stars with TrustLink, a AAA rating with the Business Consumer Alliance, and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You can invest with confidence because of the quality and service of Allegiance Gold. Get up to $5,000 in free silver on a qualifying purchase when you visit protectwithgoldnow.com today, or give them a call at 844-790-9191. Don't wait for your privacy to be taken away. Protect your future now with Allegiance Gold. Visit protectwithgoldnow.com or call 844-790-9191. According to ABC, Ferris rejected claims from an informant that he told someone at a party that he saw an execution of a well-dressed woman in coma. Bernie Johnson died in April 2018. He denied having anything to do with Shirley's murder in a TV interview in 2008. He didn't testify at the inquest because by that time he had dementia. Bridget Shoering said that she hoped Johnson's death would prompt others to start talking. The inquest resumed in July 2018 after a 6-month break. This is a long, drawn-out process.
Yeah, it's been a couple years now.
Yeah, at least one. It started in, 2017? According to ABC News, the inquest heard allegations that the police tampered with evidence before a review of the case in the 1990s. An unidentified police officer provided the allegations to the Corruption and Crime Commission. He claimed that in the early 90s, he was asked by Assistant Commissioner for Crime, Bruce Scott, to go through the Shirley Finn evidence with another officer and to take out anything that seemed out of place or did not belong.
Did not belong. That could mean anything, right?
Well, how's he supposed to know what's out of place or does not belong? Scott denied these allegations and said he had no involvement in the murder case during his career as an officer. He retired in 1994. So, I hate harping on it, but there's a lot of police officers who are being dragged through the mud.
Sure.
Some of them with very little, I guess what I would say, call evidence. Really, there's not much evidence at all. There's people saying they heard this, someone told them this, or they saw this. But did they really? Sergeant Brent Fletcher, who helped review the case in 2014, said there were 110 suspects identified between 1975 and 2004. It's a healthy number.
It is a healthy number.
Now, that's a lot of years, though, too. I mean, it's almost 30 years, but it's a lot of people to look into. According to the West Australian, the police who reviewed the case investigated sightings of Shirley's car before she was found dead, calls to Crime Stoppers that were not followed up on, and Bernie Johnson. Fletcher said at the inquest that there had always been allegations of corruption and police involvement in the case. He referred a report of direct corruption to Internal Affairs. During the review, he asked the superintendent of IA if he could have any documents relating to Shirley Finn, but his request was, quote, knocked back.
Yeah, I definitely have the feeling that anything to do with her, the police weren't going to be that cooperative. It just seemed like eventually the request for information about her would get squashed when it got to a certain level.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. You know, if all these people are telling the truth. And isn't it weird that so many people are telling a similar story? Yeah. Now, it might be a different person that they're talking about, but I will say Bernie Johnson's coming up a lot.
A lot.
Ross Harvey Stone, Bernie Johnson's son, told the inquest that his father was in a relationship with their neighbor, Carolyn Langan, who lived next door for 14 years. Stone said that his father talked to him about the case over the years and told him he confided in Langan. Johnson told him that Langan knows who did it. According to Stone, he said, there's a lot of dirty police around and she knows too much. So if something happens to me, it's because she knows too much about it. Stone made a statement to the police in 2015. At that time, he was involved in a legal battle with Langan over his father's estate. Carolyn Langan also testified in 2018. And then they took another break. The inquest resumed on April 1st, 2019. So now we really are like 2 years into this thing. Witness Craig Clobber told the inquest that Bernie Johnson made a bedtime confession to Carolyn Langan that he killed Shirley Finn. According to the West Australian, Clobber said he was a close friend and colleague of Langan who confided in him in late 1988 or early 1989. He knew that Langan was having a sexual relationship with Johnson. He said that Carolyn came to his office one morning and said, Bernie told me in bed last night that he had killed Shirley Finn. Carolyn told him not to tell anyone. He assumed she told him in case something happened to her. On another occasion, Carolyn appeared very upset. She told him Johnson threatened her with a gun. After this, Johnson allegedly threatened Clobber twice and told him, I don't know what you've heard, but whatever you think you've heard is wrong. Clobber said he didn't go to the police because of loyalty to Langan and because he didn't have independent evidence. He said he presumed he would be okay if he said nothing. And depending on who all's involved in this thing, maybe that is the best course of action.
I was thinking
or
the same thing.
Was back then.
Yeah, best to be quiet.
But Clobber felt compelled to come forward after hearing Langan testify in 2018. Langan denied Clobber's claims. So again, you have all these people saying what they're saying.
She said, they said.
Yeah. A lot of them pointing the finger at Bernie Johnson.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are contradicting each other's statements.
Yeah, just like in this case right here.
Right. Carolyn saying, no, this guy's not telling the truth. On April 3rd, a protected witness said that her former partner, former Vice Squad detective Robert Nevin, confessed to killing Shirley Finn after he was told to get rid of the problem. This was according to ABC News.
So another person.
Now we have another police officer, detective. Witness L said that Nevin confessed to her in the late 70s or early 80s. He recalled how he was ordered to go down to the green to meet Shirley. He parked and left his headlights on. He got out, lit a cigarette, and walked over to her. He leaned down to talk to Shirley through the window, then removed a shotgun from a leg holster. Witness L testified he just said he shot her, blew her head off. And this part didn't really make a lot of sense to me because everything that we've talked about so far kind of excludes the use of a shotgun.
Exactly.
22 shell casings, 4 shots to the head. Well, you wouldn't describe it that way if somebody was killed by a blast or multiple blasts to the head from a shotgun.
A sawed-off shotgun.
Witness L said she met Nevin while working at a massage parlor. Nevin was one of the detectives who picked up money from brothel owners in exchange for protection. He tried to court her before they got married to other people. 3 months later, Nevin got rid of her husband by threatening to have him charged with heroin possession. She claimed that Nevin once threatened to kill her children, and she believed his confession of murder.
So she felt like this guy can do what he said.
So here's the other thing that really jumps out at me. You have a number of people alleging that they heard confessions. People saying that they murdered Shirley Finn.
Right.
They also seem to have threatened them, their children, and, there's a lot of threatening going on.
There is.
She said that Nevin told her that Shirley went to police headquarters the night before she was found dead and asked to speak to the police commissioner. Nevin resigned in 1981 when he was found to co-own a brothel with Officer Tony Wick and Witness L. He died in 1987. Witness L said she inherited guns when Nevin died, and one of those was a sawn-off double-barrel shotgun. She gave the licensed guns to a friend and threw the others, including the shotgun, into a landfill. She believed it was the murder weapon. But again, I'm so confused by that.
I am too, yeah.
Because, all of the reporting talked about 4 shots. Nothing said anything about shotgun.
I'm just thinking about all the corruption that was going on back then.
Well, that old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know that we're going to get to the bottom of who killed Shirley Finn, but it does seem to me that something hinky was going on in the police ranks.
Oh, absolutely.
Back during that time frame. In December 2017, former brothel owner Linda Watson testified that she was paying the police under an informal containment policy, and that she met with 2 Vice Squad detectives named Niven and Wick who told her the rules. Witness L said that Nevin was often referred to as Niven. On April 4th, witness Janet Lawrence testified that she worked at a nightclub in the early 70s. Bernie Johnson and his colleagues Don Hancock and Vince Kadich came into the club with Shirley and sat at a special table. She had a friend who later told her he saw Bernie Johnson wrap up the murder weapon in newspapers and put it in a trash can outside the nightclub. She also said that about 10 years earlier, when she told a man she worked at the club, he gave her a letter and asked her to get it into the right hands. He said he knew the killer and saw the gun, but he was scared. He claimed he managed a bank branch where the detectives set up accounts, not using their full names, and deposited cash, which was possibly obtained from Shirley for police protection. One of them showed the man a gun and said it was used to shoot Shirley Finn. Lawrence testified that her father, who was an officer, told her that the boys were demanding more money than Shirley was prepared to pay. She threatened to expose them and was silenced, according to the senior. Now, not a lot of this makes sense to me. Number one, why are so many people going around confessing to shooting Shirley Finn?
Unless they're doing it to confuse.
Yeah, I don't get why people are just randomly telling people, hey, I killed Shirley Finn.
Or you're looking for some type of street cred, right? Like, hey, I'm a bad, you know what, because I killed her. And if you don't do what I want, you might find yourself in the same position. Knowing that at the end of the day, no one could ever track it back to them, but they could say whatever they want.
Well, not all of these people killed her. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So somebody's not telling the truth. Somebody most likely is, but who is that person? What does make a lot of sense is maybe them wanting more protection money, and Shirley wasn't having it, and she did threaten to expose someone. That's a real possibility. On April 4th, Carolyn Langan was recalled to give evidence. She said she and Bernie Johnson were friends and lived next door to each other, but denied having an affair with him. She said she was not close with Craig Clobber and denied saying that Johnson confessed to the murder or threatened her. Shirley's former partner, George Weber, testified that during their relationship, he saw Shirley put money into envelopes and drive to a park to meet Bernie Johnson. She didn't tell him why Johnson was taking the money, but Weber said, as reported by Perth Now, we all knew it was to pay off the police. Former Officer Colin Rowe testified that he saw photo albums at Shirley's house that contained images from parties at her home. Years later, he saw the albums in storage, but there were less than he originally saw. The evidence was later moved to a different storage facility and then went missing.
Conveniently.
Yeah, because, maybe there's somebody in those pictures. I don't know. But the inquest had previously heard that Shirley's Dodge and the shortened Anschutz rifle that was identified as the murder weapon were also missing. So again, there it says rifle. So there again, they're talking about a rifle as the murder weapon, which we saw in the reporting time and time again.
Exactly.
And then you have this one person saying, no, it was a shotgun. So that just doesn't make sense to me. Rowe also testified that 6 months after Shirley's murder, he received an anonymous call and was told, "Keep your bloody mouth shut." According to ABC, the caller didn't identify themselves, but the call came from an internal police number. Coroner Barry King indicated that he hoped Rowe would be the last person to give evidence. According to ABC, King said there were so many potential suspects and the evidence related to each of them variable that it would be difficult for him to determine who killed Shirley. I think that's an understatement.
Oh, I know. It's something we've been talking about, right?
He said he had a list of 5 or 6 potential suspects, including Bernie Johnson, Robert Nevin, Arthur Stanley, Nettie Smith, and Don Hancock. And those are the names that seem to have cropped up the most. I think Bernie at the top of the list. Absolutely. As far as how many people kind of put him out there as the killer. The inquest was closed on June 17th, 2009. Coroner Barry King said it was unlikely the murder would ever be solved, and he warned the police they would likely face adverse findings. He said it was unlikely he would make a determination about who killed Shirley because there were just too many suspects. And I totally get that. Barry King released his findings on August 12, 2020. He found it most likely that Shirley was killed because she tried to blackmail the police, but he could not determine who was responsible. He said he wasn't able to identify who killed Shirley because, as reported by ABC, the available evidence has implicated several individuals who might have killed her, and because none of the evidence is reliable or cogent enough to enable me to determine with an appropriate degree of certainty whether any of them, either alone or with others, was in fact responsible.
Absolutely.
I mean, we were headed that way.
Yeah.
Right? How could we land anywhere else? And like you said, it's like the introduction of so many people kind of jumbled it up. So the question is, was that on purpose, or was there just a lot of people that thought this person said they killed her? Or
yeah, this was the guy. This guy here. No, wait, it's this guy over here.
King said the lack of reliable evidence was due to the passage of time and because the original investigation just couldn't be trusted. His report said that it wasn't possible to make findings about police corruption without being able to determine who killed Shirley. And I think it's that passage of time that we have to go back to. You know, if the inquest happens in 75 or 76, is the information better? And I would say yes, but I would also say, would people be much more hesitant to come forward?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the answer has to be yes. So you would have less information, but people's memories would be better.
But you also have to have an understanding how high that corruption went. Maybe the corruption went all the way over into the corner.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
We have no idea. If there was corruption. King also pointed out that while a lot of evidence implicated Bernie Johnson, most of it was weak and did not meet the standard of proof.
Hearsay, you know.
A lot of hearsay. Yeah. He said this, I saw him do this. Evidence against other suspects could not be discounted entirely, which meant it wasn't possible to exclude them. King said that it was frustrating. The inquest didn't answer the question of who killed Shirley Finn, but the investigation was back with the WA police detectives.
Well, I agree with him. I'm frustrated. I know you're frustrated.
Yeah.
You know, how it's all over the place.
Well, and just the fact that you can't discount some of these suspects means that, to me, you can never bring charges against one person.
Nope.
Bridget said that her family was denied justice. ABC News quoted her saying, "My mother mattered to me. I just feel like she was abused and used and disposed of." It's been 47 years since Shirley Finn was murdered. Different people allegedly confessed to the murder, but the overall motive, Gibbs, I think you'd have to say, seems to revolve around her threats to report alleged bribery or some type of other alleged corruption within the Western Australian police force.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, we talked about a lot of people and it was cloudy, but they all were police officers or detectives or worked in some type of law enforcement capacity.
But as a prosecutor, how could you ever bring a case forward against one individual? Because the defense would love that.
Oh, they would shred it.
Yeah, I mean, you have these other people. They're going to have reasonable doubt.
Oh, absolutely. If you have any information about Shirley's murder, you can contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-333-000 or make an online report. There is currently a $1 million reward for information. And that blows me away.
Sure.
Because the case is 47 years old. They're still offering money, and not just money, $1 million.
Yeah, good money.
They want it solved.
But, I mean, it's possible. It could be solved. You never know. I mean, we knew the Somerton man was solved.
Yeah, and people never thought that one would be.
No.
And so, yeah, you never say never. I think in wrapping this one up, what makes it so tough is what we just talked about. With so many people making claims that it was this person or that person, I don't know how you would ever, get charges to stick, because it would be so very easy for, a defense attorney to raise the specter that it was not my client, it was this person. It was
right.
Because people have already said it. So the one thing you would definitely have to say, though, is that Bernie Johnson is mentioned the most.
He is.
And whether that means anything, I don't know. But a lot of people came out and said either he told them he did it, they saw him, do this, do that. It just, he comes up a lot. But other than that, there's really not enough, as the coroner said, to conclusively tie this thing to any one person.
Difficult.
And is there the possibility that there were a bunch of different people involved in this thing and kind of orchestrated not only the murder, but the cover up as well?
I think that's very likely.
It's very possible. Absolutely. But that's it for our episode on the murder of Shirley Finn. We've got some voicemails, Gibbs. You want to check those out?
Yes, hear them.
Hi, my name is Taylor. I've been a longtime listener of the podcast. I listen to True Crime All the Time and True Crime All the Time Unsolved. I have listened to every episode, and I'm all caught up now, and I just listen as they come out weekly. I was calling today because I wanted to let y'all know just how much I love you. I'm calling in from Hot Springs, Arkansas. You should definitely give us a quick Google. We're a big crime town, honestly. The whole town was built on crime. But besides that, I was calling today. I had done some Googling and seen that you guys haven't covered the Storyville Slayer. He was an unidentified serial killer or multiple serial killers located in New Orleans in the early to late 1990s. There's quite a few suspects. It's obviously an unsolved case. There's even some stuff where Howard Stern talked to potentially who is the killer. So it's a pretty interesting one. I figured it would make a good episode, so I just wanted to call in. I'm neither team Gibby or Fergie. I would say I love both of you equally, honestly, and laugh at both of your jokes a lot. So yeah, keep your own time ticking, and thank you for everything that y'all do. Bye.
I think I was hearing she say that she's Team Gibby.
Yeah, I'm sure you heard that.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that, but it sounds very interesting. Sounds like it would make a great episode, so we'll definitely get on it.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm very drunk, but I know you can please some of the people all the time. You can please all the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. And that's from a drunk person.
You know what we need? More drunk voicemails.
We do.
I was just thinking that.
Because, you can please some of the people some of the time. You also can please all the people all the time, but you can't please all the people.
No, you said it wrong.
Yeah.
And you're stone cold sober.
Yeah.
No, we need more drunk voicemails because I like those. They're funny. But I think she got it right. I won't remember it, and I'll mess it up the next time I try to say it. But
like I did.
Yeah. We appreciate it. All right, buddy, that is it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
see what's streaming free all month long during Amplify AAPI Voices on Pluto TV. Watch shows like Kim's Convenience with Simu Liu and amazing movies like Meet the Patels and Jason Momoa in Braven. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows available on live and on demand. Download Pluto TV on all your favorite devices for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.